Hey everyone, this is Nikki Rowland and today I have a layout for Hip Kit Club. Today I am using the September kits. They really are beautiful, I love them, and I'm being inspired by the mood board today. So there's lots of elements on the mood board that I was inspired by today. In particular, looking at the image with the frames on it, there's two tables. There's a table with slats at the bottom, and there's another table, or it's like a trolley, which has like a cross frame. Those two things really reminded me of this paper that you can see me using here with all the diagonal stripes on. I really loved this paper. I've not quite seen anything like it, where you've got the diagonal stripes and then halfway through they change position, so the colours change, they don't match up. I really loved it. That just really appealed to my sense of design. I thought I would give this one a go. So I wanted to pull it in the diagonal from the mood board, so therefore I've cut my paper on the diagonal. But then I also, possibly not a great decision, but I also cut across the horizontal part so that I had a break where the lines changed, but then I decided I wanted to have this curl, and I'd already thought of this, so I don't know why this was then a surprise that it was difficult when I'd got two separate pieces instead of one. The reason being was that I wanted to create this effect of my little boy kind of peeking out from underneath the curl, and the reason for that is because this is a back to school layout. We were off months. We were off school for 5 months. So it was a whole 5 months, or nearly 6 months, since he'd last been at school because of the pandemic, and our year groups weren't eligible to go back in June. So we have been off for an awfully long time. It worked out at 166 days. Wow, what a lot of days at home. So anyway, he was worried about going back to school. He said he didn't want to go. He wanted to stay at home. He's a home bird anyway, and he likes the homeschool method that we had going on earlier before the summer. Anyway, he was clearly worried about going back to school. So I just wanted this, I wanted him to be kind of peeking out from under this curl, just to, show his kind of shyness. Not that he's not overly shy, he's really not that shy, but that he was apprehensive, and I hope that I achieved that by this. Anyway, nobody else would probably realise that, but for me, that was what is kind of representing. Other elements from the mood board that I'm inspired by, there's a title on one of the frames, in the frames part, that says "You've got this." Well, that's going to be my title. I loved the houses, they were fabulous, and there were some great houses in this kit, the September kits. So I'm using them as school buildings because obviously we're going back to school in this layout. So they could be houses, or they could be school building. There's some with like a spire on top and a flag at the top. It kind of reminds me of like churches or schools. So anyway, I've used those, and then also I wanted to include leaves because that's on the mood board, but also the prompt for today was fall elements, so therefore leaves are so that, aren't they? So anyway, yes, and I've also pulled out some more of the frames as well, the shapes of the frames rather than the things that's on them as well. So I think the only thing I haven't included on this layout from the mood board is the pumpkins. So the pumpkins, the feathers, and the pumpkin spice and everything nice. Those things I have not used. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I have chosen quite bravely a pattern paper background, a coloured cardstock background. It's very unlike me, and then I've put my diagonal over the top left corner, and I've created the curl, and my photo is going to go onto there, and then I've also applied some of the Lindy's magical powders that we got in the September colour kit. So I've used the blue one, which is called Whale Watch Blue, and it's quite a deep blue, and it's made more deep by the fact that it's going onto like a teal coloured cardstock, and then that was the only colour I used from the Lindy's this time, but I did shake some white paint over the top of it. I really loved the effect that I achieved with sprinkling it onto the wet lindies because it really spread, and that was what the look I was aiming for. I did want some regular splatters around the layout anyway, but I really loved that look. However, I then cover most of it up, of course, as you do with mixed media, so you don't really see much of that, but I really liked how that looked, and I'll have to try that again on a different layout. So there is my layout dry now, ready or almost dry, and ready for my photo to go on, plus embellishments to be started. So I'm now just figuring out what fall elements I can use for this layout. I was just really aiming for leaves, lots and lots of leaves. I didn't want to do the pumpkins. As I said, this is not a pumpkin layout because he's back to school rather than autumn themed, but for us, September, it's starting to get cooler, it potentially is the start of autumn, so I figured it was okay. Even though I still wouldn't say it's fully fledged autumn here even now, at the beginning of October. So right, okay, so other than on the mood board there were lots of frames. Okay, so I am pulling out the frames from the frame paper, Pink Fresh Studio paper, Days of Splendor, that has frames all over it. So I've fussy cut out a number of those, and I'm trying to arrange those around my photo without covering up all of my mixed media. So I also wanted to go across the gap over on the left hand side as well. I didn't want to just have all of my embellishments on the right. I did think about that, but I also wanted to come over to the left as well. So I've putting a couple of frames there as well, and they will give me somewhere to put my other embellishments too. And you can see that I'm starting off with the houses because I really want to get those in because they're one on the mood board and two kind of represent school from my perspective today. Yeah, just going to get those straight in because they're quite big. They're the chipboard, by the way, the chipboard Maggie Holmes Marigold sheet that came in one of the kits, and I just wanted to make sure that they went in because they're quite big. They needed to have things built around them rather than tried to be put in later. So I've got some frames over to the right. I've got a couple of frames over to the left with the school buildings or houses there as well, plus a house to the right of my photo too. I'm just going to keep going, embellishing around those things really. Some of them I'll use as a base for other things, but my style generally is lots and lots of layers, for me it's good to have all of these layers down first, and then I can start tucking things in adding bits and pieces here and there as I see fit really. I wanted to also get my title in place because I'd already got my title in mind. Quite often I don't have a title in mind when I start a layout, and then I really have to think about it, but on this occasion it was just staring at me off the mood board. So it was "You've Got This." It's on one of the frames, that is the perfect title for this because he was worried about going back to school, so therefore "You've Got This" was a perfect uplifting title for this layout. So I'm using the Pink Fresh Studio Days of Splendor mini alpha stickers to add my title. I'm picking out different colours. I like to have a multicolored title, but I picked out some of the gold ones and some of the teal ones or green ones, and they just didn't look right. I wasn't happy, so I kept swapping them out and going back to the pinks and purple tones. So that's what I ended up with in the end. For the you've, there's an apostrophe between the U and the V, I've taken that from the middle of a number 4. So this little triangle from the middle of the number 4, and that was the perfect apostrophe. I don't know if it will stay there forever, but maybe I should glue it down with some glossy accents. Yes, so that was where I got my apostrophe from, in case anyone was wondering. Okay, so just finishing off my kind of big cluster really. I had this oval frame that I've just put at the bottom left. I've added a wooden frame top right, and then you can see over on the right I've added some wooden leaves as well. I'm going to really build on that and have a good leaf cluster in that area. and I'm going to use lots of the Days of Splendor leaves for that, because we have the leaf or floral ephemera that is just perfect for these fall elements in this layout today. Plus there's leaves on the mood board. They are rainbow leaves, which is awesome, but I haven't gone with the whole rainbow thing. I've gone more with a mixture of colours. Okay, so I've been through the gold sticker sheet, the phrase stickers, and pulled out some leaves and some hearts, and I think there's 1 or 2 hearts that give me a lot of grief, and I have to keep moving them around. Every time I put them somewhere, I then cover it up with something else, so I have to keep moving the hearts around. That's the problem with stickers, right? Rather than ephemera, they stick. Okay, so just carrying on, adding in some bits. I'm now going through the Days of Splendor floral ephemera and pulling out all the pretty leaves. I really love these. They're quite delicate. They're not massive. You know, some ephemera packs we get are huge, or the pieces inside them are huge, and I struggle with those, but these are all lots of little bits. They're so lovely, really easy to use and layer up and form a cluster, so absolutely ideal. So I'm just going through them all and putting a spray of leaves on the right and a spray of leaves on the left, and then I've just kind of tucked them all in, and then when I was happy with how they looked, I've just added some foam pads underneath to get them to stay in place. They probably should have more adhesive on than what I've put, but I think they'll hold. I think it'll be okay. So yeah, my trusty foam pads is what I use on almost everything, so I probably won't stop now. Okay, these are chipboard flare from Pink Fresh Studio Days of Splendor. I've added a green one on the left that says perfect, and a dark blue or navy blue on the right that says simple joys. It was certainly a simple joy for me. I was so happy to see them go back to school after so many months off. Goodness me, homeschool was fun. I look back at and shudder, and the possibility now of another lockdown coming, I'm like, oh my god, I can't do another lot of homeschooling. Anyway, let's hope it doesn't come to that, fingers crossed, hey. Okay, so just carrying on adding bits and pieces, I've added a little banner at the top right that says smile often, and then I'm coming in with some little bits and pieces from the Maggie Holmes Marigold puffy stickers. These are so cute, they're so tiny. I love these things because they are so tiny. I've just added a little postage stamp, an acorn, another little schoolhouse. It's actually just a normal house, but I'm going with a schoolhouse, a pink camera, and I think that's it. Oh, and a little teal star at the top right. So they're just extra little details. They're only tiny, but I really do love them. The fact that they're puffy as well gives an extra layer of texture or interest to the layout. Just adding some word stickers. I've got happy moments, charming, and cherish. They're from the Marigold like waterfall sticker pack. Okay, and this is me nearly done now. I've just sewn through my title on my sewing machine, so I just used white thread to sew through. These little Pink Fresh Studio alphas, they are so tiny, and they have a habit of falling off. If they get caught on anything, they can like ping across the room, so I always worry about them coming off at a later date, so I always sew them in place or stick them down with glossy accents, but I've just sewn through just with one line of thread on my sewing machine, and that's around the title, on the title. Okay, so just coming in with some more white splatters. So instead of shaking from the thing, the shaky thing, I don't know what it's called, I'm going in with a paintbrush, and that's just so that I have a bit more control as to where my splatters land. I don't want them all over my photo. So just adding some white ones and some blue ones from the Lindy's around the clusters, around the title, top right, and then also top left onto the diagonal pattern paper as well. Yeah, and that's me really nearly done. I'm just going to write in my journaling. So I was going to use a thick black pen to write my journaling. Sorry about my head. But I just worried that it would be too thick. So I've gone small, and I've written, "You were clearly worried about going back to school, but your first day was great, and you told me how it's okay to be separated because we are connected by an invisible string, even when far away." So that was such a lovely sentiment that he came home to tell me, and obviously that's been taught at school, but so wonderful that it sunk into him, and it stayed with him a few weeks later as well, because he mentions it quite regularly, so it's lovely. Okay, so that is me done. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you've been inspired by our mood board as well, and that you like this layout. Don't forget that if you are a Hip Kit Club subscriber, you get the main kit at a reduced price. You get a 15% discount off of all add-on kits, and you get access to exclusive subscriber cut files, so lots of great reasons to subscribe. Okay, thank you so much for joining me today. That was Nikki Rowland for Hip Kit Club.